Welcome to the Modest Sports Show, home of your college athlete, where we are player-led and player-focused. Guys, on today, before we get into all of that, be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're growing. We're almost to like 900 subscribers, so I appreciate that, guys. We're on the cusp of college football season, man. I'm ready. Like, I'm genuinely ready for this season to start. Each episode that I shoot, because I try to drop once a week. So for those of you who are new, just, be on the lookout, turn on your post notifications so you see what we got going on over here. But aside from that, man, I am ready. I'm ecstatic about where we are in the calendar year, because college football is right around the corner. But also, we got some NFL preseason games coming up, I think, this week, if I'm not mistaken. Because at the time of this recording, it's July 27th, 2025. So it's a Sunday, and man, I'm ready. I'm ready. So for like I said, be sure to like this video, right? Today, we will be getting into quite a few topics. One being my list of Heisman Trophy preseason candidates. And then we're also going to talk about some week 0, week 1 matchups that Cory will be watching. We'll be presenting, I guess, a new segment on the channel called Cory's Kickoffs. So that's going to be exciting. We're going to talk about a few games that I got in that week 0, week 1 time period. And then lastly, I'm going to open it up for some fan engagement, because we are new and we got so many new fans joining the program. That is, I want to give my new fans the just due. So be sure to interact with us. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe, but also very big on comment, because I'm going to start shouting you guys out for the ones who are like actively supporting us and what we got going on. I want to give you guys your flowers and your just due. So that will be at the end of the show. But for starters today, like I mentioned, let's dive right into right into the preseason Heisman watch list. I guess we'll tag that the Modest Sports Show preseason Heisman watch list. Okay. So I think we're going to do honorable mentions. To make it fun, I'll start with honorable mentions. Okay. So my honorable mentions, I said could still win. This is my disclaimer. Could still win Heisman. I just have to see the pieces around them. So please don't blow up the spot. Don't get mad at me. Just, I just want to see how things work out for these guys who almost made the list, but they're position dependent. Okay, so for starters, we got Jeremiyah Smith at Ohio State. Great receiver, right? Great receiver. Obviously, number 2 wide receiver prospect in the 24 class. Last season, had 57 catches for 934 yards, 10 touchdowns, only 2 drops on the year. Okay. Now, the reason that I'm hesitant to add him to that candidate to a for sure lock for the Heisman Trophy candidate ranking is because there's going to be a quarterback change at Ohio State this season, right? I think you have Julian Sand as well as some other guys in that quarterback room at Ohio State competing for a starting job. And so it's important to me to first scout who's going to be throwing him the football. Now, granted, he is a talent, right? But I think we saw last season he made a lot of downfield plays, a lot of vertical plays, right? Chip Kelly really opened that offense up for them. And so, and that's another piece. With Chip Kelly leaving and joining the Las Vegas Raiders, how does, the new offense look? How does that scheme kind of cater to what Jeremiyah Smith can do? Ability is not a question for him. It's just system, schematically, as well as who is going to be that quarterback to give him the ball. So definitely has the ability, Ohio State fans. He can definitely go and win a Heisman if it's based off ability. Just got to see some other things come into play when we are talking about Jeremiyah Smith winning the Heisman. Moving on, right? Another honorable mention. Ryan Williams, Alabama wide receiver, freshman, big breakout versus Georgia last season. 6 catches, 177 yards, and also had a 75-yard touchdown in that game. Ryan Williams finishes the last season with 45 catches, 857 yards, and 8 touchdowns. I think it's key to note that he cooled off late in the year last year, having 8 drops on the season. And he is also somebody that I mentioned in that honorable mention category because he has a new quarterback this season and a new offensive coordinator, similar to Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. So, like I said, very position dependent, right? At wide receiver, in order for you to make plays, and especially as a wide receiver who are vertical, these guys are more vertical threats, right? Can beat you with speed, can beat you off the line and press. They can do a lot of things after the catch. And, so I think that the vertical attack for both of those guys, very, very, it's like who is going to be throwing them the ball? Obviously, you got Ryan Grubb coming from the Seattle Seahawks to join Alabama, which I guess this is like his second time joining Alabama. But what is he going to bring, right? We obviously know how he likes to spread the offense out, especially now with him and Kellen DeBoer kind of joining back together, right? They're going to put their offensive coordinator hats on together and kind of scheme some things out. But, it's like, what does Ty Simpson look like? Is Ty Simpson going to be able to drop back 40, 50 times a game if he has to and really be on point with his throws, especially in the medium passing game and those deep shots? And so, again, Ryan Williams, another one, has the ability to do it, but is he going to have the quarterback? I really don't have any doubt in Ryan Grubb's ability to call plays, especially now he's coming back down to the college ranks. But again, it's just a big melting pot. This got to go right. This got to go right. And so I think if Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith, I put them in that same category. If they're able to get good offensive play calling paired with good quarterback play, they very well could be in that Heisman candidacy ranking on the Modern Sports Show, and I'm sure for every other big media company and platform by mid to late season. So just again, could still win Heisman. I just got to see the pieces around him. I also want to throw in Drew Aller in that honorable mentions, right? I know a lot of college football fans might think that's questionable too. However, I think Drew Aller, let's just start here. So he finished the season last year, 69.1% completion passing rate. Threw for 2,894 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions and 6 rushing touchdowns. It was key to me to note lost his top receiver in Tyler Warren, which was a tight end. Tyler Warren to the NFL. So that's almost 1,300 yards of receiving production coming from Tyler Warren. So I think that's important to note. Who's going to step up in that receiving core for Penn State to replace, if possible? That's a big number, especially for a tight end in college football, 1,200. Like we saw, pretty much Drew Aller, that was his go-to guy. Tyler Warren in third and impossible situations, fourth and long situations, like they were going to Tyler Warren. So how is he going to be able to replace what Tyler Warren brought to the offense? Tyler Warren, you could also line him up in the Wildcat, right? He did very special things. You can line him up in the fullback. So who is going to fill in that void? Andy Kotelnicki, he stayed. So I think that's good as far as offensive continuity for Drew Aller. But, again, can't really put Drew Aller in there because it's like, where's the Penn State? And we're talking about Heisman rankings, not necessarily offensive production. But in order for, I think a quarterback, especially like in the Big Ten, to be up there, you got to be able to throw the ball. And so, like, who are you going to be throwing the ball to? And so that's important to know. So those were 3 honorable mentions. I got a list of 7, 4 more that we're going to get into. But like I said, don't beat me up about it. Tell me what you think about those honorable mentions. Drop those in the comments. And now let's move on to guys who I think, in my opinion, are locks for Heisman Trophy finalists. All right, so I want to start off with Cade Klubnik at Clemson. So I know the way he opened the season last year against Georgia, and Georgia kind of got up on Clemson good, to start the season off. However, he finished the season completing 63.7% of his passes and threw for 3,300 yards, 33 touchdowns, 5 INTs. He was big in the ACC title game versus SMU. Finished that game with 262 yards and 4 touchdowns. So Cade Klubnik has ability. He's a versatile quarterback, can run the ball just as good as he can pass. And Clemson as a unit, right? Because I think when we're talking about Heisman finalists, I think last year was kind of an anomaly with Colorado, Travis Hunter winning it. And I think it was more for storyline. I'm not saying he didn't have the ability, but I'm saying normally you see teams that are winning, that are on the cusp of competing for conference championships or national championships. Guys who are on those teams get more consideration. And so, last year was an anomaly, but I feel like for all these guys, even the honorable mentions, the ones who, if you got good team play, then you're going to give yourself a better chance, because the Heisman, who can elevate their team, right, to a winning rank and just to a winning status. So I think Cade Klubnik does that for Clemson. Excited to see what he does this year. Hopefully he rolls into this year kind of picking up where he left off last season. So I got Cade Klubnik as one of my 4 on this list. Next, I want to go up to LaNorris Sellers, their in-state rivalry, right? LaNorris Sellers, South Carolina quarterback. He had his Superman game versus Texas A&M, passing for 244 yards and rushing for 106 yards. He had 3 total touchdowns in that game last year. He finished his season with 2,274 passing yards and 17 touchdowns and 655 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. It led South Carolina to a 9-3 record, had a 6-game winning streak to close the season. South Carolina did a lot of special things towards the back half of that year last year. And obviously very controversial play call, in that LSU game, right? But if they win that game, which they almost did, they're on the brink of playoff talk. So I am very, very aware and conscious of South Carolina coming to the SEC this year. If LaNorris Sellers, and my thing is, if I'm being honest, right? If South Carolina wins 10 games in the SEC, okay, and LaNorris Sellers has progressed as a passer, thrower, whatever you want to call it, if he's gotten better at throwing the football and really just those intermediate throws, because I think the accuracy with the long throws, but making consistent intermediate throws, you add that with what he's already able to do as a runner, I think he might be a lot for the Heisman this season. I know that's a bold claim, especially this early. And if I'm being honest, I really haven't even looked at much of South Carolina's schedule this season, but I like LaNorris Sellers. I really like him. I really, really like him. He earned my respect last year in that game versus LSU because, I think he came into that game as a redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore. I'm not quite sure. But he definitely he played ball in some of his biggest moments last year. So I'm ready to see what he's going to do as a passer this year because I already know he's a great dual threat. But let's see if he was able to, build as a passer in this past offseason. Next up, we have Garrett Nussmeier, right? He's replacing Heisman Trophy winner last year in Jaden Daniels. Finished the year with 3,739 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Had 7 games with 300-plus passing yards and 2 games with 400-plus passing yards. He's returning to LSU despite NFL draft talk, and he's committed to bringing a championship. I saw the rollout at the end of last year, or really, I guess, the beginning of this year, kind of January. Everybody's making their decisions. And I was excited. I was glad, actually, to see Garrett Nussmeier come back because he's a very good quarterback to me. I think a game that I think about with the LSU team that I reference even in my daily conversations when I'm talking to college football fans is LSU versus Texas A&M last year on the road at Kyle Field. I thought that LSU team did a very good job early in the game, seizing momentum, right? You had I think like a 70-ish yard touchdown off a slant from Aaron Anderson, and they really did a good job at controlling that game. And then Texas A&M, right, went with a quarterback change from Connor Wigman to Marcel Reed. And Marcel Reed came off the bench and he provided a spark for that team. And everybody rallied off of it from the defense to the offense. And so, I'm in that game, right, I was kind of disappointed at LSU, but I saw a lot of good things from that team. And so I've been down there in the offseason this year, all right, obviously with Tyree Adams, who's stepping in for Will Campbell. If you haven't, be sure to go watch that video, right? That link is or I'll put that link in the bio. But go check out the channel. You'll see that I went down to Baton Rouge. And so, man, I like Garrett Nussmeier. I think they can be successful this year at LSU. I was watching ESPN the other day, and one of the analysts, one of the women analysts, brought up an interesting stat with Les Miles, Ed Orgeron, who else? Nick Saban, right? It's like all of them won won championships in year 3 or year 4. And so I'm interested to see in year 4 for Brian Kelly how this LSU team is able to build on some of his previous seasons. And can this LSU team, I guess that's a question I'll pose to you all, can this LSU team win 10 games this year? Does LSU win 10 games this season? Okay, and if they do that, are they able to make a run deep into the postseason? Right, I think for them it's the defense, obviously. But back to the Heisman talk, I think Garrett places that LSU offense in a very favorable position with his arm talent. And so, man, LSU, we'll see them against Clemson, first game of the season. So that's that. Moving on. Last Heisman candidate on our preseason watch list is Jeremiyah Love, Notre Dame running back. Last season as a sophomore, carried the ball 134 times for 949 yards and 15 touchdowns. He is the only FBS player with a rushing touchdown in every game, and that is a Notre Dame record. Had a very big game versus Army with 136 all-purpose yards and 3 touchdowns. He was will be sharing carries with Jadarian Prince this upcoming season. And so I think it's very good to note that with Riley Leonard gone, more opportunities will be there for him, right? Because, I think that quarterback position at Notre Dame is going to be pretty open right now. I'm not quite sure. Don't have, behind the scenes access just yet. Got to get in contact with some people up there. But I think Jeremiyah Love he impressed me last year in that first round of playoff games, I want to say, against Indiana, right? Had a knee brace on and went 99 yards. I think it's 98, 99 yards in a knee brace in 10 or 20 degree weather. And I was actually on a visit. I was with my little brother on his visit up at UConn, right? Be on the lookout for Kory Albert this upcoming season, safety at UConn. But we were up on his visit at UConn in Connecticut. It was cold, just as cold up there. But we sat and we watched that game with the recruiting. We were out eating and stuff, and we watched that game on the big screen. And man, I was like, man, in the knee, because knee braces are already hard to wear. Anybody that's played football knows that. But then to run 99 yards, 100 yards in freezing weather, that was impressive to me. So Jeremiyah Love obviously has had the offseason to get healthy. And I'm ready to see how dynamic he can be with the ball in his hands coming into this football season. So this is my Heisman preseason watch list. 4 guys that I think are for sure locks. 3 guys who could be locks. But like I said, position dependent, and I'm interested and curious to see who is gonna be in that those 5 finalists come December. So aside from that, guys, did I miss anybody? If I did, drop who you think would be good Heisman Trophy finalists in the comments below, and let's get some discussion going about that. All right, so for Cory's kickoffs, week 0 and week 1 games, I'll be watching. Okay, so for starters, we got Iowa State versus Kansas State I feel like I got to put an accent on for this one, right? Arlingus Classic in Dublin, Ireland, right, on August the 23rd. That's at 11 a.m. Central Time. And so I'm going to list the games, but I'm also going to give you some quick thoughts. I haven't done any research. This is just me providing, just like I said, just quick thoughts, quick expressions on what I think of each of these teams going based off last season. I think Iowa State, they finished the year very well. They were in talks of, it was like a 4-way tie with, I think, BYU, Colorado, Iowa State, and was it Kansas State? It was something crazy in the Big 12 last season. There was so many teams in contention for a Big 12 championship or a berth for a Big 12 championship. They could have made that game had this happened, had that happened, 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, 6-way ties. So that was kind of crazy to see. I just really acknowledge this game because it is the first game of the season against 2 Power 4 opponents. And so it's going to be cool to watch that game, get back into the mood, get back into the spirit of college football. So I'm ready to see what that's going to be like. Iowa State, like I said, they finished the year good last season. Kansas State, on the other hand, I don't know if they still got their running back from last year. I think his name is DJ Gideon. I really liked him. I'm really a fan of his game and his patience in running the football. So should be a good game. Week 0, just something to kind of break the monotony of not having football for a calendar year. But, we're back. Next on the list, I have Nebraska versus Cincinnati. That game will be in Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri, on August the 28th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's a neutral site game. And, I think for Nebraska, I'm kind of interested to see, does Dylan Raiola, does he come out looking more polished this year? Going to his sophomore season, that is. And does Cincinnati, what do they look? What's their identity? I think Nebraska, do they retain some of the talent that they had on defense? And, what do they do? What does Matt Rule do, I think, in year 3 or year 4? How does he put that Nebraska team all together? Like, are they really ready to compete in the Big Ten now with the big boys? Or, are they still like a mid-tier team? So I'm curious to see that. And then thirdly, we have Auburn versus Baylor. Now, Auburn versus Baylor, this game is going to be at McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas on August the 29th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think that's a gritty matchup, right? I feel like Auburn always, in quick hitters, I feel like Auburn always has a very gritty defense. Always. But is Auburn going to be able to put it together on offense? Who's playing that quarterback position? And are they going to be effective at doing it? Auburn is one of those teams, man, that it's like they got all the resources that they need to be successful, right? Can they just actually go out and do it and execute at a high level? I would like to see a world in which Auburn was a good football team. I would like to see that. Okay. Next up, we have Georgia Tech versus Colorado. This game is going to take place at Folsom Field in Boulder, Colorado on August the 29th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is Deion Sanders. This is year 3 for Deion, right? Both teams testing growth. If I'm being honest, right, my early thoughts in this game is Colorado's defense is not going to have what it takes to stop Georgia Tech's offense. What I mean is not necessarily from a talent level, I think more from a discipline level. Brent Key has done a good job, I think, at Georgia Tech, just establishing a certain discipline, especially on the offensive side of the football and that option scheme that they like to do. I think their quarterback as well, Haynes King, he's really an X factor in how he controls the game. I mean, we saw it last season at the beginning of the year when they knocked off Florida State in the Arlingus Classic. So how is Colorado? Are they going to play? Is Colorado going to play assignment-based football, or are they going to be kind of like? And they did a better job last year. Colorado did do a better job defensively, but they still weren't able to really contain the run like I feel like they should have. And so with Georgia Tech being very run dominant, very screen dominant, and they actually got some pieces too. Georgia Tech has some pieces. Are their dudes gonna be better than Colorado's dudes, or is Colorado's dudes gonna be better than theirs? So that's what I'm ready to see for that game. Colorado, again, on their side, I'm ready to see is the quarterback position going to be able to be filled. I'm not in Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, he was a one-on-one type of quarterback, but is whoever's playing quarterback for them, are they going to be able to do their job well enough for Colorado to score points and not be a liability on offense? And then obviously you lose Travis Hunter. You know, that's a big blow. They rely heavily on those two guys. So where is the production going to come from on both sides of the ball? Offensively, without them being there, and defensively without Travis being there. So, and then they also lose a linebacker, I feel, and I think it's Nikhil Hill-Green to Alabama. And so ready to see what that Colorado football team is going to look like. We have Texas versus Ohio State in our 5 slot for Kory's kickoffs. That game is going to be played at Ohio Stadium in Columbus, Ohio on August the 30th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I think this is a potential playoff preview, and there's star power everywhere. We know Texas is coming. And Texas, right, we saw last season, I can't recall. I don't know if it was, I think it was last season before last. Oh, no. That was last year. Texas goes on the road to Michigan early in the year, and they beat Michigan at Michigan. So Texas go on the road the year before that and beat Alabama at Alabama. Texas is no stranger to going on the road and knocking teams off. And this Ohio State team that we see this year, right, they've lost a lot of pieces. I've seen Ryan Day speak on this. They're fairly young, and they're young, but Ryan Day feels like they're young with experience. So they were able to get guys some experience last year amongst a lot of the pieces they lost to the NFL, and maybe even, you know, the transfer portal, whatever the case might be. But Texas is no stranger to playing on the road. And, you know, I think this is a big test for Texas to kind of see where they are as a team, right? I like it. I love this matchup. I love it. And I'm an SEC guy, so I want Texas to go up there and handle business. And like I said, I do feel like Ohio State has just lost a little too much. But we're going to see what they have. Obviously, still got Carnell Tate. I really like his game. Carnell, hopefully this makes it back to you, but I really like Carnell Tate's game. I think he is, if I had to compare him, right, comparatively, I think he's the Jeremy Bernard to Ryan Williams. And what I mean, you got Jeremiah Smith, you got Ryan Williams, star power players, right? But when you think about consistency, right, you'll think, okay, I can get this guy the ball every play. Consistently, I can get the ball to Jeremy Bernard. He's going to make a play. I can get the ball to Ryan Williams. He's going to make a play. Jeremy Bernard, I can get the ball to Carnell Tate. He's going to make a play. So I like that comparison. But, you know, again, just ready to see what these guys are going to do. Texas versus Ohio State. Next, we have Alabama versus Florida State. This is taking place at Doak Campbell Stadium. That's in Tallahassee, Florida, on August the 30th at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You know, we've seen the back and forth. I like that. We've seen the back and forth with Alabama and Florida State. We saw some comments that Mr. Thomas Castellanos made. And it was funny to me because he said he kind of reneged the statement. Like he was just trying to get his team amped up when he was working out with his guys or whatever. But I think he should have stood on it, man. Let's make this football competitive. Let's make it fun. And Alabama, I think their slogan the disrespect will be addressed. I think they said something like the disrespect will be addressed. I like that. That's real classy. Let's just see if they go down there and handle business on August 30th. That's what I would say to that. In our sixth, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In our seventh spot, we got LSU versus Clemson. Now, LSU versus Clemson, we've talked about this briefly, but we saw some comments made by Brian Kelly speaking about Clemson being Death Valley Jr. So I'm liking it, man. We getting closer to football season with some of these comments being made, guys heating up. You're starting to feel that rivalry. So I'm excited about that. And then lastly, right, on Cory's kickoffs, we have Notre Dame versus Miami at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida on August the 31st at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And this game, it's a classic rivalry. This is a momentum builder for each one of these teams, right? We talked about Miami on the last episode. And let me go back a little bit. The Alabama versus Florida State game and Texas versus Ohio State. We had Jeremy Bernard on the program. Guys, go and watch that video. Jeremy's a very humble young dude. I enjoy him coming on the platform, so I pray for his success this season. Excited about that matchup. I do feel like Notre Dame, right, like we said earlier in the episode, I gotta see their quarterback situation. Miami, we talked about on the last episode, so be sure to go check that episode out also. With Miami, my expectations for them are to win the ACC this year, right? I don't feel like the ACC is strong. I know people are mentioning UNC, but I don't feel like UNC is going to be – I just don't feel like UNC in year one with Bill Belichick is going to blow minds. I think they're going to be at best, I think a middle of the ACC team. But I just feel like, Miami, Clemson, trying to think some other teams in the ACC, like it's kind of maybe Florida State, but I'm hesitant to say Florida State just because I gotta see was that a one-time thing or not them going 2-10. I think them going 2-10 is not gonna happen again. I gotta see is Florida State gonna reestablish themselves as a dominant team this season. So that's kind of how I feel about both of those things. And this is the list of Cory's kickoffs for week 0 and week 1 games that I'll be watching. I'm excited about that, man. I think at the time of this recording, it's July 27th, the first kickoff. We're less than a month away. We're 27 days, 26, 27 days away from kickoff. And like I said, I'm going to be watching NFL preseason games. So you all tell me this football season, what are you looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the brisk, cool air. I'm looking forward to the barbecue. I'm looking forward to the atmosphere that college football brings. That's what I'm really looking forward to. So drop in the comments what you are looking forward to in this next college football season. And before we get out of here today, like I said, I want to shout out our fans. And those of you who engage with our content, whether you like a video, whether you're subscribed to the channel, whether you got your post notifications on, guys, I'm going to start shouting y'all out because your support means everything to me. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. So on this week, I want to shout out at Glenn Akins 6417 for their support. And they said, nice meeting you, new fan. Can't wait to follow along. I appreciate you, Glenn. I'm excited that you came over here to the Modest Sports Show. And, man, we're happy to have you. So if you want to get shouted out on the next video episode that we have, please drop in the comments. Just give an encouraging message to us here so we can comment back and give you your acknowledgement. And then for our fan question, because I said I'm going to start posing one of these. I know I asked them throughout the program kind of what you all are thinking. But our fan question for this week is going to be, which week 1 matchup do you think will have the biggest impact on the Heisman race early? Is it going to be Texas versus Ohio State, Alabama versus FSU? Let me know your pick and why in the comments, and I'll feature the best responses on the next episode. So, which week 1 matchup do you think will have the biggest impact on the Heisman race early in the season? Okay, we already talked about Cory's kickoffs and the games that we kind of. I think it's gonna be. I think we're gonna have a few potential Heisman's planned in that Texas versus Ohio State, Alabama versus FSU, LSU versus Clemson, Notre Dame versus Miami. You got you a nice slate to kind of choose from. But if there are some games that I'm not mentioning, throw them in the comments and let's talk about it. So I appreciate you guys for sticking around and watching another episode of the Modest Sports Show. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications so you know when we drop. I'm probably going to get back on schedule. We'll be dropping like every Monday or something like that. But at least once a week. Guys, I appreciate you. And I will catch you on the next video of the Modest Sports Show. Peace.